Today we are going to be talking about string variables, but before we jump right in, let's just do a quick review of what a string is. A string variable is a variable that is equal to only a word or a phrase. Let's take a look at an example of what a string variable would look like in code. Here's our example. It says string x is equal to hey. Let's take a look at this and break down what each part of this means. Focusing on the first part, string. So string is telling the computer that this variable right here is going to be a string variable, so it can only be set equal to a word or a phrase. The next part, x, is the name of our variable. This name could be anything. After this, we have our equal sign, which sets our variable equal to some sort of value. Here, with the hey, is the actual string that it's equal to, and then the semicolon is put at the end to show that this is the end of our code. Now we're going to talk about creating our own string variables. So make sure you make a new repel for this and follow along. All right, I'm going to go over a couple examples of how to create a string variable. So let's say I want to create a string variable and I want to set it equal to my name, Morgan. I'm going to type string, which is the type of variable that it is. The name of it, the name of my variable, which is going to be name, is equal to, and then when I set this string variable equal to something, it's going to have to be a word or a phrase. Now, because it's a word or a phrase, you have to put this in quotation marks. Just like when you're printing a word or a phrase within a print statement, it has to be in quotes. Same thing when you're setting it equal to a variable, it also has to be in quotes. So I'm going to put in Morgan right here, and then you have to do a semicolon at the end. So this is what a string variable looks like when you're creating one. Let's do another example. So let's say I had a string variable called cat, and I want to set it equal to the phrase orange cat. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to type string, the name of the variable is cat, is equal to orange cat. All right. Now, before in the previous videos, you may have noticed that the type of variable was kind of like highlighted in blue. That only happens for ints, doubles, and booleans. For strings, strings are just this normal color, but that's just how they normally are. The last example of creating a string variable, let's create a string variable called truck, and we'll name it blue. So string truck is equal to blue. So this is how you guys create string variables inside of your code. Next thing we're going to talk about is printing string variables. All right, so to print string variables to the screen, you do it the exact same way as you do for an int or a double. First off, you have to type your print statement, system.out.println, semicolon at the end, and then inside of here, you're just going to put the variable name. So for example, if I wanted to print out what the variable name right here is equal to, if I run my code, then the computer should print out the phrase or word Morgan. The reason why is because name is equal to Morgan. And because we're printing out name, we're going to print out what it's equal to. If this was changed to like Max or something, when I run my code, then Max should be printed to the screen over here. And as you can see, it is. Now with ints and doubles, you saw that you could add them together and, kind of like a calculator, you get a combined outcome. You could do something similar to that with strings. So in this case right here, I have the name string. All right, we know name is equal to Max. I could take this name string and add it to another string such as cat. Now let's take a look at what happens when I do name, which is Max, plus cat, or orange cat. As you can see right here, it took the name variable, which is equal to Max, and it printed it out right here. After that, it added on the string variable of cat to the end. So it added on what cat was equal to the end. So if I have my name, I'm going to get Max and then plus orange cat. And you see it's one right after the other. If I added a space in front of orange cat right here, then the stuff would be separated. But these two strings would be put one right after the other. So when you take two strings and you combine them together with a plus sign, that is called concatenating strings. So that is just combining two smaller strings to form one bigger string with a plus sign. Now, guys, we're going to go over some review questions. So make sure you create a new rappel and then follow along. Number 1, create a string variable called customer and set it equal to John. Pause the video and do this in rappel. So to create a string variable called customer and set it equal to John, we're going to type in string customer is equal to, and then in quotation marks, John with a semicolon at the end. So remember, string variables are going to be equal to a word or phrase, and that word or phrase always has to be inside of quotation marks. It always has to be, no matter what. So this is how you would set it up. String, which is the type of variable, name of the variable, equals, and then whatever it's equal to. In this case, we have to put John in quotations. Now, for number 2, using the code from the previous question, I want you to print the value of customer to the screen. So right here, pause the video, fill it out, and then we'll go over the answer. So now if we want to print the value of customer to the screen, we're going to have to use a print statement. So you can either use system.out.println or system.out.print. Either one will work. Now, if we want to print the value of customer to the screen, you're actually going to type the name of the variable directly into the set of parentheses. So customer, and now when we run our code to the screen, it should print out John. Now, if the name of our customer were Paul, if we change this to Paul right here, then Paul would be printed out to this black area right here. So this is how you would print the value of a string variable to the screen. All right, last question. So using your answer and code from the previous questions, manipulate your print statement in a way that will allow you to print the following to the screen. So I want you guys to print John Smith to the screen instead of just John by itself. So it's going to be the value of the customer along with the technically last name of Smith. So the thing is, the prompt wants us to basically print the customer name to the screen, space, and then right after have the last name Smith. So remember how before we learned about concatenating strings. Oops, looks like I accidentally deleted this. So customer is considered a string. So we could do customer plus and then Smith, right? Now, the thing is that when I print this to the screen, we're going to get John and then Smith right afterwards if I were to print it. So it would look something like this. Because the thing is that we're taking this string and we're taking this string and we're smushing them together. If we want there to be a space in between them, like this, we would have to add a space in front of here. So this is how we would print John Smith to the screen. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Have any questions or comments, please post them down below. And if you would like to continue to learn how to code in Java, click subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.